What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Unlocking Excellence with your main man, Eric Schwefel. What is up, my friend? It is great to be back. It has been a little while since I've been here with you, so check it out. Listen, if you get something out of this, right? If you get some insights, if there are a few breakthroughs, if you feel like you've been heard, if you feel whatever, right? You feel like you got something out of this, then the only thing that I ask, right, if you could please, is share this bad boy out. Let your audience, let the people in your world know what it is that you got out of this, and then hit that share button, right, either with a picture or with the link, or even tell somebody about it and share it directly to that person and let them know. And if it's on social media, tag me. Let me know what's up. If you have an opinion, let me know. Hit me up. And I'd love to talk about it and just talk about it with you, right? So with that being said, I was speaking with a client the other day, and I was letting them know I was thinking about getting back with the podcast and doing it a little bit more and being more frequent with it. And they're an avid listener. They listen to I want to say most of the podcast. And they asked me why I stopped. And I thought about it, and I almost gave the lazy answer of, I don't know, and the answer of, just things got in the way and things were this and things were that, and this is the way that it was. And then I realized, like, the main reason why I didn't get consistent and as committed as I wanted to with the podcast was, one, because it wasn't delivering the reward and the fulfillment that I thought it was going to, right? Like, I had this weird conception that once I started the podcast and I got consistent with it, then all of a sudden my problems would disappear, right? Like, I would get famous, things would develop, all this kind of stuff. And it's a pipe dream, it's wishful thinking, I know, but that's what I had convinced myself of by watching all these other people and these influencers who have had success with their businesses in such a short period of time. And where that could be applicable to me, what I noticed was the energy behind that, right? The reason why I was doing something and the reason why I was looking to have the podcast excel was for my own glory, and it was for my own satisfaction, right? And I realized, like, deep down, man, whenever I do something out of ego like that and out of vanity, it never works out well. Or I tend to stop myself much sooner with that particular venture than I would at any other time, right? I've noticed this in my business. I've noticed this in relationships, not only romantic relationships, but platonic and those friendships. I've noticed this in business opportunities and ventures. I've noticed this really all over the place in my life. Like, I'm one of those people who has really developed their sensitivity and their ability to feel shit out. And if it don't feel right, like, I'm not about it, y'all. Like, that is not something that I want to move forward with. And I used to be the kind of guy that would move forward with it anyway. And what I discovered is I would move forward with it so that I could then get to the point where I felt like I couldn't move forward, and I could then figure out what it was that I needed to figure out in order to overcome. Does that make sense? A good analogy would be, I would dig myself into a hole, and then I would dig the hole so deep that I thought I couldn't get out of it. And I would dig it to the point where this seems like it would be tough to get out of, and then I would do what I can to get myself out of the hole. And I realized I would dig these holes. Another analogy I used way back in the day, where I would spin these webs, these spider webs, and I would spin these webs and get caught in them just to see if I could get out, right? And this was all derivative of who I was at a subconscious identity deep within myself. And I didn't realize why these things came up. And these things came up right now that I realize, and I've had these breakthroughs, these things came up from a lack of fulfillment and a lack of satisfaction in the current identity and in the current habits, the current habitual way that I was directing my attention. So with that, I began to direct my attention differently, my energy differently. I began to direct who I was differently and change that, right? And this takes place over time, right? This is like this is years and years of work, right? Like I think my first time ever visiting a therapist was when I was like 22, so over close to over 10 years ago. Wild, man. And so this isn't all just something that happens overnight, right? This is something that happens over time. And we begin to realize and we begin to make connections all over the place. And then we can begin to see our own self fulfilling prophecy, meaning if we continue within the same habit loop that we're in, then we're going to continue to get the same result. So then every once in a while, right, we have this moment of clarity, of enlightenment, where our head pops out of the habit loop that we've been in. We've been in the hamster wheel, and then we stick our head out of the hamster wheel, and then it's like a roller coaster, right? The wind's hitting our face. Like imagine you're a human, you are a human. Imagine a giant hamster wheel, a human hamster wheel, and then something happens and your head sticks out of the hamster wheel, right? And then your head's caught, you're fine, you're not going to die or choke or anything like that. Your head's caught, and then all of a sudden you see how fast things are going outside of the hamster wheel. And you're freaking out, right? You're freaking out. You are able to push your head outside of the hamster wheel, you're back in, and things are a bit more still. But in order to keep going, you have to keep running. And you realize that things are happening on the inside, right? But things are crazier on the outside. So what I'm getting at here is we get trapped in this state of confusion, in this hamster wheel. We get stuck in this habitual loop. And then as soon as we stick our head outside the loop, when we think that things are going to be better, we see how really crazy it is on the outside of these habit loops, and we don't want to do anything with it. We decide to go back into who we were, into that habit loop. We decide to go back into the hamster wheel because things look so crazy outside the hamster wheel. But what we don't realize is when our head is outside that hamster wheel and we're looking and things look all crazy, we're still trapped inside the hamster wheel. Does that make sense? I know that was a lot and it's all over the place. So let me go through it just one more time, okay? You're a human. I mean, I guess you can imagine a hamster if you want. And the hamster is going, the human is going, and then you trip up, and you fall, and your head, it's able to go through the tracks of the hamster wheel. And then you're caught, right? You're not going to die or anything, but you're caught. So your body's going around and around, and your head's on the outside, and it's going a lot faster, right, on the outside. So you're freaking out. You push your head back and you go into the hamster wheel, and it's a lot more calm, right? It's the hamster wheel isn't moving as fast. It's a lot more still inside the hamster wheel. And then you begin to run again, and this time you stick your head out and you see how chaotic it is. You want to stay in the hamster wheel. So when we try to get out of our habit loop, things look really, really chaotic, and they look crazy. They look like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I ever going to get out of this trap? Because it feels so weird whenever I do something other than what I know, right? It feels weird to do something other than your habit. So I'm going to keep doing the habit, and I'm not going to get out of it, right? And then something happens one day. We have this flash of insight. It can happen now. It can happen later. It can happen within a day. But when we have it, that insight, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's something that we feel, and it's like, man, why was I doing that? You were under a spell. You were entranced by a certain way of thinking, certain energy, a certain frequency, the habit loop. You were just moving and going over and over and over, and that's fine, right? That's what needed to happen at this point. Now you can wake up. And you can see that all you really had to do, you didn't have to stick your head outside the hamster wheel. You just had to stop running. You just had to take a second to breathe. And then turn and look in a different direction and step out of the hamster wheel. It's really that simple and it's really that easy. But, I know. No, just stop. Just stop running. Stop chasing. Stop the excuses, the thinking. Not every thought needs your attention. Not every thought needs your attention. You can just let it go. Your attention is valuable, right? Your attention matters. That's why everybody wants it. It's significant. It's your presence. It's your I am self. It's your spirit. That's what your attention is. It's the direction. It's where you choose to direct your spirit. And your spirit is powerful. It's energy. So, my friend, one of the reasons why I wasn't getting on the podcast was because, like, what am I going to tell these people? You know, like, for those that listen, I appreciate you so much. And I used to come into this like I was some teacher, you know, like I have to have something to teach and I have to look like an authoritative figure. And it never resonated with me, you know, like before I was a business owner, I worked for another person and I was able to really be myself because there wasn't money involved. There wasn't the thoughts that I had around being a business owner and the identity that I believe I needed to construct in order to have the things that I wanted to have. So I constructed who I believed would be the identity and the person necessary to deliver the results. And it worked. It worked famously. It was great, right? That person, that identity no longer serves, right? So I had to get the switch up. I had to switch it up. I had to play a different game, right? I had to play a different game. So now the game that's being played is not the same game that we were playing before. Instead of being the effect, right, we're going to be the cause. And everything really is a reference point. And now the game is just allowing and expecting things to be amazing and great. And you know what? They have been. They have been. Stepping out of your own way and allowing things to be as they are, ineffable. Beauty. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Ineffable means too great or extreme to be expressed or described in words. It's indescribable. And so I realized whenever I came from that place of like, I got to teach these people, I got to have something, you know, I got to look like an authoritative figure, it felt icky and it just didn't feel right. You know, it didn't feel authentic like me. And what works for me is me, being vulnerable. You know, I like to say I'm standing naked in front of you, essentially, you know, like I'm just bearing it all, baby. And that seems to work really well. So I am going to be the guy who just gets on the podcast and just speaks from the heart and speaks openly, transparently, and vulnerably to the best of his ability linguistically, intentionally, passionately, unapologetically, and truthfully, you know, whether it's my truth and I wanted to say this right, or the truth, because like they can be different, but at the same time, I strive to allow the truth to flow from me because the truth is ineffable. The truth is what it is. It can't be argued with. That's why so many people despise the truth because you can't change it. It is what it is. So when you reflect that back, when you look at the truth, it and the truth is you're looking at the truth and it's reflecting back to you. It shows you what isn't truthful, right? What is false within yourself. That's why so many people have difficulties facing truth and facing themselves because they know, right? They're deceiving themselves and there are false beliefs that are within. This is where I wanted to go with it. The whole world, the whole world is looking to make everybody comfortable and everybody inclusive, and the whole world is looking to make everybody feel good and to feel the best that they possibly can. We don't want you feeling uncomfortable. We want things to be convenient. We want you to feel welcome no matter what you believe yourself to be, or what you say yourself to be, or whatever it is. We want you to feel good and we want you to feel included. Well, guess how the fuck you grow? It's outside of your comfort zone. So here the world is looking to expand the comfort zone of every single person. And they're looking to include everyone and make them feel so good and comfortable and convenient. And, we're going to get rid of the hardships and we're going to get rid of that uncomfortableness that you meet in life. We're going to get rid of it. You don't have to deal with it anymore. Go in the fucking metaverse, right? Like, you don't have to feel in the metaverse. To feel is to be alive. So we're gonna prevent you from feeling these bad things so you can only feel good things, right? You grow outside of your comfort zone. So here the world is expanding the comfort zone and they're preventing you from growing. They're preventing us. They're trying to prevent growth by expanding comfort. But you never thought of it like that. So when uncomfortable things come, people don't know how to deal with it because they've never experienced hardship in their life. Could you imagine if we had to go back to a time where the hunter-gatherer society reigned supreme, how quickly the human population would drop? Not only from suicide, but from the ability to no longer survive or endure in hardship? I know that was a wild stance, but I mean, think about it. How many people would rather die than not endure hardship of the hunter-gatherer society, of having to live outside and having to get your own food and meat? You can't tell me that there are people that wouldn't consider taking their own life. And then with that too, no, there are some that avoid discomfort at all costs. Their whole life is around avoiding discomfort, and they never grow. So my commitment is to just show up for you and to show up for me and just talk, be a dude who's speaking his own. And if you like it, great. If you don't, that's cool too. I'll still be your friend. I'll still love you. I'll still support you in whatever it is that you want to do, as long as it isn't harmful to you and isn't harmful to me or anyone else. I love you. You are an amazing person. Live free and liberate yourself from today's tyranny of debt, of finances, of the mind, and of the matrix. You are unstoppable. Make your results undeniable and be unapologetic in everything you fucking do. You are the greatest to step on this planet. You're the greatest to do the thing. Now it's time for you to step up and be the greatest. There's this quote that I love. I love, 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 love. I'm going to read it in two different ways for the men and for the ladies here. If you wish to be the king of the jungle, it's not enough to act like a king. You must be the king. And there can be no doubt, because doubt causes chaos and one's own demise. If you wish to be the king of the jungle, it's not enough to act like a king. You must be the king. And there can be no doubt, because doubt causes chaos and one's own demise. And ladies, if you wish to be the queen of the jungle, it's not enough to act like a queen. You must be the queen. And there can be no doubt, because doubt causes chaos and one's own demise. Y'all got it? You get it? Good. I think you'll like the series that we have coming up. Remember, if you enjoyed this, if you got something out of it, share it out. I love you. You're unstoppable. We'll talk to you soon.